कर्पूरगौरं करुणावतारं संसारसारं भुजगेन्द्रहारं सदा वसन्तं हृदयारविन्दे भवं भवानी सहितं नमामि.
Illness which is becoming pandemic. They're telling me, I don't know how far the statistics are right, they're telling me over 40 people, particularly women in America, over 40 years of age, nearly 52% of them are on some kind of antidepressants. 52% is not a joke. 52% is not a joke. It means entire humanity is becoming sick. We must look at it why. Fundamentally, because you are banking on a few things for a long time for your mental stability and emotional stability, all these things are taken away. One thing is, as you mentioned, the crime that we call as family. It gave us the support. No matter what happened, there was somebody always for you. Others are with you when you do the right things. If you do the wrong thing, they'll distance themselves. There was one bunch of people who was like a… for the circus that you do, they were the net. Whichever way you fall, there's somebody to hold you for some moments. But that net is gone. Now when you fall, you fall. Because of that, people are cracking up. So if you want to remove… see, in this culture, there was a time in the tradition where 30% of India's population were monks. That means consciously they went beyond family. Consciously they chose to live without family, to live without support, to live without a home. Homelessness not out of deprivation, but by choice. Nobody ever had a depression because they transcended the need for the net. You learnt your trapeze bar act really well. Now you can do it without the net. You are not good at it, you better have a net, isn't it? Otherwise your head will crack. Right now that's all that's happening. The traditional support system that we had, we're taking it off. When we talked about religion, with all due respect, we must acknowledge this. Today people are trying to go to psychiatrists. India doesn't have enough psychiatrists for 1 billion people, believe me. No country has, and above all, they're very inefficient because they can take only one client at a time and they need a lot of furniture like this. It's very inefficient. Religion handled human psychological balance effortlessly. God is with you, don't worry. It settled a whole lot of people. Do not underestimate the value of that. It is very inexpensive mass psychiatry where people… no, I'm not… this is not a joke. When you're mentally ill, it's not a joke, it's the most painful thing. If you get physical ailments, you will get everybody's compassion. When you get mental ailment, you'll get laughter, unfortunately, because you don't know when somebody is sick and when somebody is being stupid. You can't make out. This is the biggest problem for those families who have somebody in the family who's mentally disturbed. You don't know when they're making it up, when they're really suffering, you can't make out. There is no perfect way, there is no science anywhere to tell you exactly when, because human beings can make up every kind of thing. You're an actor, you know. I don't know, you're an actor or…
I do most things, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, we act even in our day-to-day existence, all of us.
No, that is fine, but are you actor, just director?
No, I tried, I failed.
Okay. So, all right, you're a bad actor.
Yeah. But I'm an actor nonetheless.
But at least you make other people act.
Yes.
So, in a cinema or a drama, you can act something and make it really real to a point where these 10,000 people will sit and experience like it's real. So, when a mentally ill person is in your home, you don't know whether he's acting it up or it's real. Sometimes it's real, sometimes he's playing with it. You can't make out. You don't know when to be compassionate, when to be hard on him. This is the biggest problem For people who have mentally ill people within their homes, this is the huge problem because there is no perfect way of making a judgment. And it is not joke. See, human sanity is a very fragile thing. The line between sanity and insanity is so thin. If you push it every day, you will cross it. See, when you get angry, what do you say? What's the expression? I'm mad with you, or I'm mad right now. So you're enjoying that little bit of madness. You crossed the line and it felt like it's some kind of a freedom and power. But one day when you cannot cross back, that is when suffering begins. And suffering means, it's not like physical pain, it's immense suffering. I've been around people who've been mentally ill, trying to help them. It is… nobody should have it, but unfortunately it's becoming an epidemic in the world, that mental illnesses are growing like never before because all the supports they had, we are pulling it out without replacing it. If people become so conscious and so capable within themselves, you pull all the supports, everything will be fine. But without giving that competence, you just pull the supports, people will crack. In the Western societies, it's happening large scale. We are not going to be far behind, especially the urban societies in India will move in this direction because once again, in many ways, urban India is more West than West. There are more people in denims here than in America.
Well, no, thank you for that, because I know it is definitely a crisis that plagues us, and some, as I said, seek help. Some who are helped, I mean, I'm happy for them, and I'm sure grateful for resources that are available. And those that find pleasantness within themselves, I think that truly is a glorious solution to their issues.
So when we say pleasantness, human pleasantness can be looked at in many different ways. One simple way of looking at it, because medical science is looking at it that way, I don't see it that way, but that's a consequence for me, is every human experience has a chemical basis to it. What you call as peace, joy, love, turmoil, tranquility, agony, ecstasy, everything has a chemical balance, chemical basis to it. Even health and ill health has a chemical basis to it. Today, entire pharmacology is just about trying to manage your health by using chemicals. It's today or a doctor's job or a physician's job is… it's an orchestra of chemistry that he's trying to manage. Put this pill, something more happened, put that pill, then something less happened, then do this, do that. Trying to manage the orchestra of chemistry because this is the most complex chemical factory on the planet.
Right.
This is a very complex chemical factory. Managing it from outside is very, very difficult. But you could manage it from inside, but you must have access to your insides. If your innards are not available to you, then how do you manage it from inside? You only try to manage from outside. Even mental illnesses are largely being managed by chemical input. But all the chemicals that you can think of on this planet are in some way already present in this. Whether you're seeking medically prescribed drugs or you're going for the backstreet drugs, whatever you're going, essentially you're trying to bring pleasantness within yourself.
Right.
Because health means one level of pleasantness. If body becomes pleasant, we call this health. If it becomes very pleasant, we call this pleasure. If your mind becomes pleasant, we call this peace. If it becomes very pleasant, we call this joy. If your emotions become pleasant, you call this love. If it becomes very pleasant, we call it compassion. If your very energies become pleasant, we call this bliss. If it becomes very pleasant, we call it ecstasy. If your surroundings become pleasant, we call this success. So, we are trying to manage pleasantness by putting chemicals. To what extent means? The statistics are out now. In United States, they're saying 70% of the population is on some kind of prescription medication. The most affluent country, where there is an enormous choice of nourishment and lifestyles, here 70% are on prescription medication. So you're trying to manage your sanity and your health by putting chemicals from outside. But there is no doubt in anybody's mind today that this is the greatest chemical factory, but right now ill-managed. Essentially, you're a lousy CEO.
That is true. That is true. What is always, Sadhguru has also left me in wonderment at times about the usage of two words, which I'm going to say to you right now. Terminology sometimes has a tendency of making you even receive an emotion from within. Two words being ego and self-respect. Now, these are two pillars of what we believe self-confidence, which is unfounded, I believe. Ego.
Hey, who put a cow next to me?
Sorry?
Who put a cow next to me?
Put a well, topical at least. It's part of the
Because
decor.
everywhere I go, people have been asking me questions about Gaurakshak, Gaurakshak.
Yeah.
Now they put a cow next to
Yeah.
me.
Well, I was planning not to go down that path, but now then since you brought it up, no, not going there. As I was saying about ego and self-respect, like we always say, like my belief has always been that maintain your self-respect, keep that. Your ego can be flexible because it should be convenient. Because I believe like your ego should be a function of your convenience. How true is that? Or maybe both are unfounded.
This ego should be a function of your convenience is perfect, but nobody knows where ego is within themselves. Do you know?
No.
Nobody knows.
It arises at will, I think.
No. Ego is a fall guy. When you do the good things, of course it's you who did it. When you do nasty things, oh, it was my ego. He's a fall guy.
Yeah.
He comes up whenever something goes wrong.
Yeah.
Whenever you're seen in a bad light, it was my ego, it's not me.
Yeah.
So, people have created a whole lot of jargon like this, my ego, myself, my consciousness, my superconsciousness, many things. First, everybody must decide, within this body of yours, how many people are residing, you must tell me. If there is anything more than one, it means either you are schizophrenic or you're possessed. You need either a psychiatrist or an exorcist. So, you are an individual. An individual means not further divisible, indivisible. This is why you're an individual. That means there is only one. This is the healthiest state to be, that you understand there's only you here, nobody else but you. If you realize this, then you will function completely differently. But you start playing this game, whenever you are in difficulty, you say it was my ego, whenever something else happens, you say it's myself, another time you say my lower self, higher self, all kinds of stuff. Many identities within you. See, this is the nature of a criminal, alias, you know?
Yeah.
So, it's a crime that you started. Whether you will be caught in the web of that or you will manage doing… See, if you do minimal amount of crime, you may manage. Only when you really get into it, then you may get into the web. Otherwise, many people commit small-time crime and then become very respectable in the society. So, if you do little crime of ego business, self business, all this and then become normal, you're okay. But if you play too much, you will become mentally ill. Because if there is more than one in this, you will become sick. There you are an individual, you are just one. Now it's very easy to transform this. You can't transform a crowd of people.
Right.
You can only transform individual people. And if you take away this fall guy, one fundamental thing you have to do with yourself is to see that no matter what happens in my life, if pleasant things happen, unpleasant things happen, whether I'm joyful or miserable, I'm successful or a failure, you know it's just you and you alone. Otherwise, when things happen well, me, when things don't happen well…
So you say we always tend to blame ourselves into various paths and then for divine forces as well.
It's convenient, it's very convenient. But this self-respect, no, you should have no self-respect. Others' respect is from another person. I respect myself. What is this rubbish? Somebody else respects you because they see some value to you, it's nice.
Yeah.
But I respect myself, what is this? It's gone further in the West and people say, I love myself. See, to respect, to love, the very word they're using is, there must be two. You can love somebody, somebody can love you, you can respect somebody, somebody can respect you. But I love myself, I respect myself, this terminology is this terminology of the insane. But it's becoming popular because the numbers are growing.